Welcome to Muskegon Rising, a community service project of the Muskegon Rotary Club. Our purpose is to create lasting positive change. We've been doing that here since 1916. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Muskegon Rising. I'm your host, Aaron Maike, and today I'm here with Dan Tavernier from the City of Whitehall. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks. Tavernier.
Tavernier. I mispronounced your name. I'm
It
so
happens
sorry.
a lot. It happens a lot.
I get it too, and I'm very, I try to get them right. Maike gets pronounced everything. So,
All good.
so glad you're here. You've been in your role how long now?
I reported July 29th, but without Scott since about mid-August.
Awesome.
So about a full month I've been full-time
Great.
at the position.
And I noticed you said reported, and that leads into my first question so well. You have a very unique journey, served in the Coast Guard. Thanks for your service.
Appreciate it.
What brought you and how did the Coast Guard prepare you for this role as city manager?
Appreciate the question. I spent 20 years in the Coast Guard. Originally, I wanted to be a police officer. In the early 2000s, I couldn't find a job near Detroit. That's where I grew up, in a city called Roseville. And I graduated from Eastern Michigan, and I just couldn't find a job. And at the time, I was working at a car wash from age 14 to 23. I worked at a car wash. I was a manager of it. And somebody there became a reservist in the Coast Guard, and they told me about it. And that's pretty much how I got recruited, was just the off chance of another car wash employee going to a recruiter and then telling me about it. And I went and spoke with the recruiter, and he said because I had a bachelor's degree, I might be able to become an officer. And I applied, got picked up on my second try, and I reported to New London, Connecticut in June of 2005. And I just finished my Coast Guard career this past summer. So I did a lot, went to a lot of places, and how it prepared me for the role. Early in my career, I started working on a master's degree in emergency and disaster management because I thought it would, one, help my Coast Guard career, and two, the follow-on career, because I was 43 when I'm retirement eligible. I knew I'd have a second career, so I always had local government in mind. I didn't know what capacity, but management was the most attractive, because I went from supervising a lot of people. I had roughly 200 active duty that were at various stations that I was the chain of command for. And so managing a large group of people, it was where I seemed to fit best. And this opportunity came up, and I was fortunate enough to be selected. And they did a pretty rigorous job of figuring out who they wanted. And ultimately, I'm grateful to the City Council for hiring me.
That's an amazing story. And, part of Rotary is vocational service or preparing for vocations, right?
Yeah.
And so while you're in a career, you're preparing for your next career. That's tremendous.
Yeah.
What was your favorite location when you were with the Coast Guard?
Oh, I get that a lot. A few of my jobs made me travel the entire country. The only states I haven't seen with water are Maine and Alaska. So I had the fortunate ability to check out a lot of different locations. But as far as the job goes, when I was in New London, Connecticut, I was a commanding officer of a boat station and had about 70 people. And that was probably my favorite job. But as far as location, it's really tough because I wanted to go to Detroit and I turned down Los Angeles to go there. So it's really, I don't want to put down anywhere, but I really liked Rhode Island. I spent a year there and it was just nice. But I also got my number one pick going to Detroit. So that's, my original home. Now West Michigan's my home. But if there was a job in Western Michigan that I could have got, I probably, who knows, I might still be in, but I always knew West Michigan was going to be my landing spot. My wife and I always talked about it for 20 years, that we either wanted to be in Grand Haven or Traverse City or nearby, and this is where we ended up. So
that's amazing. So why West Michigan? Why did you choose? I mean, you grew up in Detroit. What made you want to come to West Michigan for your second career?
Yeah, I visited West Michigan a lot, just growing up, and Lake Michigan's beautiful, and I think there's a lot to do in whether you like to stay indoors and do indoor things or like outdoors and going to the beach, have that as well. And my family and I are into biking and ATV riding now, so I think West Michigan's a perfect spot for that. And honestly, the wrestling out here is really good too. And I was a wrestling coach, and my son wrestles, so some of the best wrestlers in the state, I believe, are out this way. So if my son can be part of that's all the better. But my sister-in-law moved to Grand Haven probably 13 years ago, and then my mother-in-law moved to near Grand Rapids in Wyoming, and my family stayed on the other side of the state, but she had family here, and the only place where my kids had cousins their age was West Michigan too. So it all kind of just worked out with my sister-in-law moving here, and then my kids wanted to be near their cousins and us wanted to be near family. It just kind of all worked out.
It's a great place to live as well, and you're close to family. It just makes it that much better.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm in West Michigan because of my wife as well. Tell us a little bit about your leadership style, Dan, and how the Coast Guard framed that, and how do you plan to lead at the City of Whitehall?
So that's a loaded question. Like it's almost situational. You have to be able to change your leadership style to the people you work with, and first and foremost, it is lead by example. I would never ask somebody to do something I wouldn't do myself or haven't done before. So like on Friday mornings, I find some outdoor work to do because I wanted to show everyone that I'm part of the team, and I don't mind cleaning windows and doing edge work and things like that, but I want everyone to feel like they have a voice when they come in. I've always had an open door policy, so anyone can come in my office and talk to me and vent or give me an idea. I don't care where a good idea comes from. If it's a good idea, let's hear it. And I think just having that open communication and being approachable by everyone on staff is my approach in general. And I don't know. It's such a broad question looking for a specific answer, but I think I would just sum it up by saying lead by example, good communication, a willingness to learn, and treat others how I want to be treated, and lead the way people maybe want to be led.
Sure. I love the open door policy. I have that at my office as well. And I remember an employee at one point in time, people are lined up out the door waiting to see me. Well, how do you do this? Well, I can't have an open door policy and want to listen to people and then complain that they're actually here talking to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
It really settled in on her, and she thought, "Oh, well, that's really great." But I also love that you think it needs to evolve because everybody wants something different. So you have to adjust based on who's in front of you and what they actually need.
Leaders have to adjust.
Yeah. So you're following Scott Hubler. I mean, he was at the city for 24 years. You mentioned, Scott, that he stayed for a little bit with you.
Yeah.
How do you bring your own leadership and evolve the city into something new, but honor Scott's legacy?
Yeah, he was the utmost professional in every dealing I had with him. So he set me up for success, before taking this job. And now that I'm in it, I've reached out to him a few times, and he said, even 5 years from now, if you have a question you need answered, give me a shout. So everything I do, I was set up for success by those before me. And, it is difficult, though, replacing someone who's been there for 24 years. I am coming in with my own viewpoint, my own agenda. Like, I want to say my own agenda, because the agenda is what the council makes it. And it's up to me to figure out the right way to carry out what the vision is for the city. And I think putting my own twist on things is not complaining about the person who's here before, because that doesn't matter. Like any decision made prior to me arriving was probably the right decision at the time. And we have new information now, so we can change our opinion, and that's okay. And it's not disrespectful to the people who made a different decision in the past, but new information, new environmental conditions change. So I think as long as I'm transparent about initiatives or decisions I make, I think I'll be fine. And it's not disrespectful to anyone if I'm walking in doing things a little bit different.
Absolutely. I love that. It's all too often you hear the blame, well, they made that decision and now I've got to fix it. Well,
No,
you have to trust they made that decision based on the best information they had at that time and without any malice in their intentions, right?
Yeah, I believe everyone wants to do the right thing, and they might not have had the same, hindsight's 20/20, so you can't use that against people in the past.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure, I met Scott a couple times, but I had the pleasure of working with his dad at the City of Allen Park. He was the mayor when I was at the Allen Park campus, and just a tremendous man, and I could see where Scott got his community service. Dick just did an awesome job there. So
yeah, that's cool.
Great family legacy of community service. So where do you see Whitehall's biggest opportunities over the next several years?
So, again, loaded question.
There's a lot.
But we are, hopefully next summer, we're going to begin the West Colby Connector. It's an undeveloped area in between our marina and downtown area, and we've got a plan to connect all of it using sidewalks, pathways, and have like a tiered viewing platform for the sunset, and possibly have movies and outdoor shows, and we'll have space for food trucks and just have a natural gathering location for people in town. And I think the marina, our maritime background with White Lake, moving into a common public area and then into downtown is our tourism industry. And then we have a whole manufacturing industry as well. So that's, off in the industrial park. So on top of the tourism industry, that's, seasonal. I'm hoping to expand it more than seasonal though. Like, we have winter activities and fall activities as well. And our manufacturers like Highlight and Helmet, and, more than just those, but back in the industrial park, what we need to, I think, focus on next is our retail. I think that'll, tourism draw people in, retail will keep them there. And I think that's the next natural iteration of businesses that we're going to target and hopefully help them succeed in Whitehall.
That's amazing. You have a beautiful downtown area. Yeah. I love coming up there. I might have a beer or two at Fetch when I ride my bike up there on the bike trail. It's just such a great community. How do you think economic development is creating vitality in Whitehall? And how do you, again, position Whitehall to make sure you get those retailers so that it keeps people in your community? So
you have to be business friendly, and that can mean a lot of different things to different businesses. But you want to make sure that you're clear on your expectations of whether they're rehabbing a building or repurposing a building. Make sure that they know the expectations up front of fire code, electrical code, because you don't want a business to think that they're going to start operating and then another inspector comes in last minute and throws a wrench in it. So I think being transparent up front and getting ahead and saying, just make sure you're within these codes and explain the codes. They're not that complicated usually. They're written complicated, but you could just have to move a garbage can. Some codes are that simple. And I think our inspection program will lean toward being friendly to businesses, but on the same token, they need to comply with code because it's typically there for a reason, and we want businesses to be safe. And if we have a property that hasn't had luck in the past, we can do tax abatements. We've done a lot of them, and if people want to come, or businesses want to come to Whitehall, that's an ongoing effort to get businesses to come to Whitehall and stay.
That's great.
And then improving our infrastructure as well.
Absolutely. Whitehall is well known for its strong sense of community, and we have so many assets along the lakeshore. You mentioned the beautiful lake, the beauty of Lake Michigan. How do you plan to leverage those, not only for your businesses, but for your residents, and make sure you maintain that great sense of community and that the quality of life just continues to get better in Whitehall?
I think staying out of people's way is a good way for government to operate, to make people to keep people living in your community is, don't hound them, but also make sure their neighborhoods aren't falling apart. We need to do a good job of maintaining clean drinking water, our operating sewage, wastewater treatment, and also our roads. And that's something that it's like a mandate right now that people are just, they want their roads fixed, and we might have to take some risk and get some bonds to get ahead. Because previously Whitehall had a pay-as-you-go, and we would do a sewer, drinking water, and road surface, and we would wait to do all of them or 2 out of the 3, whichever needed it, which is a good makes fiscal sense in the long term, but in the meantime, you have a lot of roads that probably aren't in very good shape, and that's what people see. And I think the only way to get ahead of that is to go into a little bit of debt, but not that doesn't overly burden future generations. I'm talking a 10-year bond, not like a 40-year bond.
Understood. Yeah, it's unfortunate you don't see the pipes underground falling apart.
Yeah.
But people really care about the roads, and obviously water quality with PFAS is so critical.
Yeah.
So glad you're going to tackle those. You mentioned a little bit, you're hearing from people, they want the roads fixed. How do you see citizen engagement in the city government, and how does that drive your priorities?
Well, I'll answer everyone in kind. And when I say that I have an open door policy, I mean that for residents as well. I have residents contact me directly all the time. And my response is usually, when can we meet? I'll come to you. And I've had some good luck with that. And we have a small enough community where we can do that. Like a bigger city, probably the city manager probably wouldn't be able to do that. But in Whitehall, we're, less than 3,000 people. So I can just drive over and see what's going on. And I've had some pretty good luck with that. And I think that that openness has served me well so far, and hopefully it continues to. But as far as citizen engagement goes, we have a lively bunch sometimes that show up to city council meetings and have no problem expressing their views and opinions on things. And it's America. You can do that. We give you time to say whatever you want. I don't mind it, and it does lend itself to, the squeaky wheel gets a grease. So I am going to look at whatever the topic that's brought up by a citizen is. Doesn't mean I can fix everything, but I'll at least hear people out. And I want, at a minimum, that to be my reputation, that he didn't ignore me, and I at least got to talk to him one-on-one, and he could, people can stand on that.
You're not the first person I've talked to in city management that does that same thing, goes to people's houses and listens to them, and it's effective.
Yeah.
In fact, the mayor of Detroit did that to get elected, and now he still does it. And he's doing it now in his race for governor. And listen to the people, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're here to serve them, and it's great to hear you're going to the households. It changes the tone. If you sit down and break bread or have coffee, and you want to hear them out and actually see what's going on in their life. That's really awesome.
Great.
Kudos to you to do that. Can you share any other lessons from the Coast Guard that are helping you lead during this time?
Well, you meet such a wide array of people in any military branch. You could have to work with, not have to, you get to work with somebody from Chicago, Alaska, Peru, and Puerto Rico, and you all have to come together for a common goal. And without understanding each other's background. So I guess just having that experience with diversity of thought that the military lends itself to, it's pretty unique to military, I think, that you could assemble a group of people who have never met before, and they have to work together in high-risk mission and do a job. So that in and of itself is the experience I think I needed. That this is a people person job, I think, and that experience in the Coast Guard of managing people, that we get uprooted every 2 to 4 years, move to a new location, have to set up new social support, and we go to work with a bunch of people in the same boat. And whether the community realizes that or not, you just have to figure it out. And you're going to be there for 3 or 4 years, so you got to figure it out quick. So I think the problem solving aspect of, regardless of what the mission is, whether you're looking for somebody lost on Lake Michigan or you're figuring out where a pollution source is coming from, that critical thinking in a lot of different situations with people that you may or may not know very well lends itself to decision making on the fly, that you have to be comfortable with 70% of the information and know that 30% is going to change. I think that's where I thrive, is in being able to be adaptable. And a city manager, you have to adapt from one topic to another, and one council member to the mayor to another council member pretty quick, and figure out all of the problem sets that people are, that is important to them. I view it as, I've got 7 bosses where I answer to everyone on the council, and they all have, we're all trying to go in the same direction, but along the way, they're going to have priorities, and I try to make their priorities my priorities. And again, it goes back to being able to organize which problem is the most pressing and what resources we have. Can we deal with it now, or is it something that can wait? And I think just that experience in the Coast Guard taught me that. Just, you have to think on the fly and be able to adapt and not get stuck in an original decision. That's
amazing. Great closing. As we're wrapping up, Dan, anything else that you want to share with our listeners or our viewers before we close?
Well, I'm grateful to serve, and I think that's a lot of people in government. They're grateful to serve, and I don't know if the public realizes that sometimes. And I'm grateful for this job, and I'm grateful for the people of Whitehall, and I hope that I'm able to serve them as well as I can, and they realize it every single day, and that's really it. I think we're all in public service for a reason. It's more of a calling than it is anything. So, no, that's all I really have. Hope I answered all your questions.
You did. Amazing message. Dan, thanks so much for your service to the City of Whitehall. Thanks for your service to the Coast Guard. I hope your second job is as fruitful as your first job. And we look forward to seeing great things happening up in Whitehall. And I'll just close it with, for more information on the City of Whitehall, visit your website at cityofwhitehall.org.
Yes, and we have a form there that you can contact any of us. So
outstanding.
Please feel free.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Muskegon Rising, a podcast supported by the Muskegon Rotary Club. For more information, please visit muskegonrotary.org. If you think someone is doing something amazing in our community, please email us at muskegonrising@muskegonrotary.org.